So today I opened up 3 swing trades. I want to go ahead and break down the technical reasons as to why I took these trades. As you guys know, I trade the break and retest. I look for supply and demand zones. I look to long off demand, short off supply, right? That's what I trade. I'm sure a lot of you guys are very familiar with that. And these 3 setups that I took today are very consistent with the break and retest and focusing on supply and demand levels. So I want to go ahead, do all the technical analysis behind these 3 trades. I am in these trades right now so we can see together how they work out. I'm not afraid to share them now. If they don't work, they don't work. But they're setups that are valid. As a trader, we have to accept the end result, right? There's always going to be uncertainty in every trade that we take. But if we find a setup, if we like a setup, if we have good risk reward, as a trader, we have to take those risks and we have to accept the possible outcome. So today, let's go ahead and break these trades down. I hope you guys do enjoy some technical analysis in today's video. Press that like button. As always, subscribe to the channel. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. So guys, the first trade that I took today, which I'm up very nicely as of right now, up over 50% on this position. This is Meta. Now, you guys can probably see here just by looking at this 4-hour chart, you probably know what I'm about to say. And this is a break and retest, right? This is what I've traded for the last 5 years. This is what continues to work for me in the market. This is what I will continue to trade as long as it works. And here on Meta is a fantastic example of this trade working out as of now. We will see if there is further upside. I continue to hold my position. I did scale out of this position intraday today. So I did do the right thing of taking some profits off. But as of right now, with about 10 contracts, I hold these and I am up about 50% on this play. So why did I take this position? Well, we knew coming into today, we talked about this in the pre-market live stream. If you were there, you knew we pointed this one out. Meta broke above this previous high right here around $276, right? We see on the 4-hour chart, we had a lot of trouble breaking above 276. We knew that, right? We knew that coming into this week. We had a lot of trouble getting above that level all last week and all the week prior. Now, on Thursday of last week, right, you get this move that sort of frees up that resistance, right? You get a big push past that resistance up into this 289 supply level, which I will show you in a second. Now on Friday, you can see we got that pullback. And where did that pullback come to? It came right back to the previous level that was so hard for Meta to break out above. That was that 276, right? So we got a break. We pulled back off supply. We retested the previous rejection point, and we turned it into a beautiful hold level today. We turned previous supply into demand, and that is where I love to strike, right? I like to get these plays as they're pulling back into that demand on the break and retest before anyone's that interested, right? I want to be in these plays as close to demand as possible, because if I enter as the stock's pulling back or as the stock is close to that demand, then I have good risk to reward, right? Most people, not saying everyone, and I'm not calling anyone out, but most traders will now be interested in Meta, right? Most traders will be interested in Meta back at 288. This is not where we're entering trades, right? We're not entering trades up at supply. This is where, if anything, if I see rejections, I will be a profit taker already up 50, 60, 70%. So I want to be in at the retest before anyone's looking at it, before, most retail traders are chasing this move. I want to be in on the retest, and that is exactly what I did today. At the end of this video, I have a little bit of a live trade I can share with you from Meta. I'll add that to the end, a little sneak peek of when I took this trade with the group live in the Discord today. So once again, it's just a 4-hour break and retest. You hear me talk about this all the time. And what I look for in this type of setup is I start to look to see if demand steps up at my retest level. So if I go to the 5-minute chart today and I look at the intraday action from today, you guys can see Meta had a little bit of downside intraday today, right? You can see we had that push to the downside intraday. What happened at 276 today? Right here on the 5-minute chart, you guys can see we had about 20 minutes of a strong demand hold right at that 276 level, the exact retest level. After seeing that, I had a lot of confidence in this trade. After seeing that hold, I decided to swing the remainder of my position, and you can see that is simply just an intraday hold of that retest level, which comes from the 4-hour chart. So I'm looking at it on the 4-hour, but I am going down to the 5, 15-minute to see how the level reacts on the intraday basis, right? And you can see, look at that reaction right at 276 today, giving me that confidence that I can hold this position, knowing that that demand level held on the 4-hour chart. Now, what gives me even more confidence is it actually looks great on the daily as well, which is really the big time frame where you love to see a trade set up, right? You can see in the daily chart, you can see those rejections at that 276, and then look at this break and retest on the daily, right? Break, retest, and that daily candle today looks very convincing for potentially further upside. So not only that 4-hour retest, but a really clean look on the daily as well, giving me that confidence that we could see further upside. Now, the one thing that I'm slightly concerned about, right, there's always concerns in every trade, it's that 289 level above, right? And we saw that rejection last week near that 289, and this 289 comes from, if I go back, this comes from this gap over here, back from Meta's earnings. This is back in January, February of 2022. So you guys can see we had that big gap down on Meta, and the first rejection point that I'm cautious of is this previous low, right? So if I zoom in over here, I'm actually going to delete that 276 to make this cleaner. This previous low right here is 289, right? So 289 right here is the potential rejection point. If I go back to where we are, that is a potential rejection point to be aware of on Meta in this swing trade, so I will be watching that. If we get above that 289, I think you could get that full gap fill here on Meta, and that is up until 317. So the full gap is from 317 to around 248. So a full gap fill would be up here to 317. If we can turn that 289 right here into a support, if we see something like this and turn 289 into support, then I think you can see that move into the 300 plus towards that 317. So I'm going to look out for that tomorrow on this trade, right? If we go back to the 15-minute, I'm going to be careful of this supply above. I know it's definitely there. I am already up 50+%, so I have some margin here. And the only reason I am up and have margin is because that I was entering at the retest, right? So that's my first trade, Meta, 4-hour break and retest. If we look at this chart, we can draw it out, right? Previous highs right here around this 276, right? You can see we had previous rejections here, break, retest, entered here at the retest level. As of right now, looking very good. I'll keep you guys updated on this position on Meta. So the next trade that I entered today was a Microsoft swing trade. Microsoft looking for upside, and this is the exact same setup. Now, Microsoft does not look as strong as Meta as of right now, and I am currently red on the position that I continue to hold, but the setup is still valid in my eyes. That is why I continue to hold this. We will see how this plays out. You guys can see we have this previous double top right here around this 338 level. I'm even marking it down to around this, right around this 336 is where I actually had my zone. Anywhere from 336 to 338 is sort of that zone I am watching. My stop loss on this is likely under today's lows, which is about 336. So if I go to the 5-minute chart, you guys can see 336 had a little double bottom today, intraday, and that is where I think that the retest level really stands, is at that 336. So moving forward into tomorrow, I want to see Microsoft hold above that 336 to have the setup still be valid. If I go back to the 4-hour chart, you guys can see it's a very identical trade as Meta. You have a breakout of a previous rejection point right around this 336, 338, right? You guys can see these rejections, 1, 2, and 3. We had a big pop to the upside, a supply rejection up at 350, and then right here you can see we've had a nice pullback over the last 2 days. So I want to enter calls here, right? This is where I want to start entering calls because I believe in the overall setup. I know Microsoft doesn't look strong, but I know what I'm looking at here. I know I'm looking at a 4-hour break and retest. And I know that if this demand steps up, I am entering at probably the best possible point for risk reward looking for upside. If I'm wrong here, I'm risking about 2 points. I have very good risk to reward. I will stop out under 336. I will move on and I will accept that the trade didn't set up. But I know what I'm looking at, right? With the experience of trading, knowing that these break and retests have been working, right? You can see here's another example. Microsoft did not look good here. It retested this previous high, and look at what happened since then off 323. So I'm looking at the same thing, right? I'm looking at a break, a retest, and I'm looking for this demand to hold around 336 to 338. So as of right now, in this trade as well, I'll keep you guys updated on this one. It's the same exact setup. Break, retest, 4-hour previous highs, turning into a potential demand whereas Meta has already very much sort of showed the demand that stepped up off that 275, right? Microsoft's lagging a little bit, but I still have some belief in this setup, looking at the same exact type of technical formation, looking for that 336 at 338 to turn into demand here on Microsoft. Now, I will give you some idea as to why I think Microsoft underperformed and why I'm a little bit less confident on this one as of Meta, of course, and it's because we rejected all-time highs. So we did get a pullback. We got that retest on Microsoft, but it was coming off of all-time highs on Microsoft around $350. So am I as confident trading Microsoft back into all-time highs, right, after this pretty nasty 350 rejection at all-time highs? I think Meta probably works out cleaner, and it already has been. So I'm a little bit less confident on here. I have less size in this Microsoft trade because if I play this retest, which I am, I'm playing it back into all-time highs, which is a little bit of a concern. Does Microsoft have the strength to break back above that all-time high? We shall see. But I just wanted to point out that slight concern here on Microsoft and something I'm a little bit concerned about with this position and why I think it could go wrong is because of that all-time high rejection at 350. And the last trade that I went ahead and entered today was an AMD call option looking for upside off this very key 116 to 118 demand. You guys can see here on the 4-hour chart, this is a very, very clear demand zone on AMD. You can see we've had demand step up here, we had it step up here, we had it step up here. Every single time off that level, we had some type of a bounce, the recent one being the biggest one, back into supply at 133, right? So we have our clear supply, our clear demand. Now with AMD, I am simply trading a channel. And when you trade a channel, you buy off the lows and you sell at the highs. You do not buy once it looks pretty at the highs, and you do not short sell once it looks pretty at the lows, right? You need to try your best to change that psychology and focus more on risk reward than just being comfortable in a position, right? An entry to the upside here on AMD may not feel warm and cozy to some, right? But those that did it the last 3 times came out with profits. The ones that shorted at the lows the last 3 times lost, and the ones that longed at the highs the last 2 times lost, right? So I'm not going to just do that. I'm not going to do the losing thing just because it looks good, right? I want to do the thing that focuses on risk or reward. Yes, it doesn't look great down here for longs, but I know that in the past, this is a demand level that is held up, and if I enter longs here around this 116, 118, then I am having positive risk reward, that if the trade works out, I have very large potential profits, and if the trade doesn't work out, I have very small potential losses, right? That's the position I want to be in. So today I entered some AMD call options looking for this demand to step up once again. I'm seeing strength on the NASDAQ. I'm seeing strength on NVIDIA. Semiconductors still look okay. So I want to try to take advantage of this relative weakness on AMD as we approach demand. Today we put in some very convincing wicks on the 4-hour chart. If I go to the hourly, you guys can see that we sort of held this demand today, sort of flatlined here, and I'm okay with that. The other thing that I saw that I noticed, which I did like, if I go to the daily chart, the daily chart volume today was very light. And this is a sign of sellers getting exhausted, right? This is a sign that sellers are slowing down. They're not so much selling this anymore as we approach that demand. And this volume is dying off, showing that sellers could potentially be getting exhausted here, looking for that reversal off this key demand around 116 to 118. I'm long AMD. I like this demand. I'm okay and I'm accepting of the risk, right? And the only reason I'm accepting of it is because I know the risk to reward here is great. If this trade works out like I know it possibly can, I am looking for a reward back to this 133, and I am only risking, right? If I sort of draw this out, I am risking under 116. That is my total risk. I need to see AMD stay above 116. And I am looking for a push back into this 133 supply. This is a risk reward that I will take all day, right? If you took longs at the highs, right, this is your risk reward, right? Your risk reward on a long at the highs, I'm playing around with shapes now. If, let's say, AMD pushed to the upside, let's say, okay, I like AMD now that it's at 130. Now I'm comfortable taking it, right? Let's say AMD does something like this, and you start to look long up here. That is not a risk to reward that you should be trading, right? That is a negative risk to reward. That is not something that is going to keep you profitable long term. But, right, a risk to reward going long off demand here is something I am much more comfortable with, And if it doesn't work out, I take my loss, I move on, I accept that the setup did not work this time around. So guys, those are the 3 trades I entered today. Some very, very clear technical reasons as to why I am very confident in these trades regardless of the outcome. I like Meta, I like Microsoft, I like AMD. I'm looking for these to continue higher. I like the holds that I saw on the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 today as well, giving me confidence that the overall market continues to sustain itself. Of course, with any other swing trade, you expose yourself to some type of black swan event. If the NASDAQ, the S&P tank tomorrow, of course, I'm going to get stopped out of these trades, but that is being a trader. If you can't take risks on calculated setups, technical setups, good risk to reward, then you simply probably aren't made out to be a trader, right? We have to take these trades. We have to take these setups when they align with the strategy that we look for. So those are the 3 trades that I took today. Let me know what you guys think about the setups down below. Comment down below, concerns, if you like them, right? I'd love to hear your feedback. Press that like button, of course. And before you head out, make sure to watch the live trade on Meta that I'm about to play here towards the end of the video. Thank you guys again for coming by. Subscribe to the channel, press that like button, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace. Watching this little Meta retest of pre-market highs here. 279.50. Look at that Meta retest right there. Yeah, I'm going to take a long on Meta. I took the 285 call on Meta. Stop under 279.50. Break and retest pre-market highs, bull flag. Gonna give it a shot. All right, 10%. Beautiful. I'm gonna take some off Meta at 10%. That's a sick trade right there. Like it. Took 10% off. I'm sorry, took some off at 10%. Need this Meta squeeze through 281. Beautiful, beautiful little break and retest there today. Microsoft looks good as well. Awesome. All right, I'm going to take some more off Meta. I'm up 800 on that. So if I do take an AMD trade, it's going to be risk-free. All right, really good morning so far. Up 1,700. Microsoft Meta. Microsoft 900, Meta 600.